Big D Entertainment, in association with Dipsy Doodle Productions, presents The Dave Holly Hour. Brought to you by Trio Jazz Club, Sioux Falls' premier jazz club. Enter as friends, leave as family. Phil's Pub. Phil's, your local dive with music for the people. Chasers Food and Spirits. Excel Chiropractic, and Quality Nails. The Dave Holly Hour features Sioux Empire Arts and Entertainment Conversations. A true lover of arts, entertainment, good food, and fun times, including an occasional Jack Daniels. Okay, so a few Jack Daniels. Here he is, Dave Holly.
Hello once again, regular listeners, and welcome to those here for the first time. For first-timers, while admittedly there's still more content to add and others to update, we have a quick update. The revamped DaveHollyHour.com is published. So look around, leave a message if you like, and subscribe to the newsletter. All right, this week, another bonus show with 3 guests and a total time more than an hour and a half. Next week is kind of shaping up to be very similar. Why, you ask? Because the A&E scene in the Greater Sioux Empire continues to expand and give you plenty of opportunities to experience it all. Coming up in a few minutes, Bob Wendland returns to the show, but in a different role. He's in Theater Lab's production of Mothers and Sons. It's his first show in over a decade that is not a part of Goodnight Theater Collective in some way. Then Ben Jeppssen is a drummer of Dad Bod Supreme. They have a gig later this month at the Den. He's also a professor of psychology at Augustana University and a Batman fan beyond fandom. Find out how it's all tied together. End of the show gives us a chance to get acquainted, or for many of us, reacquainted with Phil's Pub, as one of its owners, Grant Boes, fills us in. But first...
Honey, look at this!
Unbelievable!
Yeah! Yummy!
I know!
That'd be fantastic. You know what I'm talking about.
Dave's Face!
Each week, we salute a person or a local business that I feel worthy of giving a shout-out for many reasons. They will receive a small thank you gift. This week's Dave's Fave is The Breaks Coffee Shop. Great selection of both hot and cold beverages. Nice, well-trained staff. My love and I get there from time to time on Sunday mornings. We enjoy its openness, its variety, and of course, our 4-legged family member Charlie is also welcome. Besides the people and businesses we're going to be making a fave each week, learn things like my favorite films, quotes, advice, etc. on the Dave's Faves page on the show website. And after you've looked at that page, click on the trivia page to see our schedule out at Chasers, West 12th and Ellis Road. Stop in for great food, great beverages, and fun times. Monday nights at 7, we play Dave Holly Hour Trivia. This coming Monday, March 9th, the theme is 4, or Final Four, etc., because we're celebrating the 4th anniversary of Dave Holly Hour Trivia at Chasers. Mondays are always fun at Chasers, your neighborhood gathering place. Honorable mention. What made Dave laugh, chuckle, chortle, downright slap my knee silly, or simply fill my heart with happiness? Oh, it got me to the laughter part and so forth. I enjoyed the first Critical Ass Theater show more than loosely based on Mystery Science Theater 3000, more than I thought I would. Laughed a lot that night while supporting the dear friends presenting it. That was actually a worry of mine. What if I didn't like it? Would I say, oh, it's fine? Or a left-handed compliment like, thanks for the show? Didn't have to worry. Very funny. Hoping they will do more of these and even willing to be a part of it. I often root for the underdog and wish every adventure not best of luck, but I love seeing success, and I'm looking forward to yours. Later in the show, Grant Boes from Phil's Pub, after Dad Bod Supreme drummer / Batman nerd Ben Jeppssen. But up next, actor Bob Wendland on the Dave Holly Hour. It's another packed week at Trio, and seats are going fast. Kick off the weekend early Thursday with a Jeff Sukup quartet led by Jeff on trumpet. Expect a fun, high-energy night of sharp solos and tight grooves. Friday, welcome back the Jesse Christian Band. Hear original music from their newly released album, along with plenty of crowd favorites that keep the room buzzing. Support the next generation of jazz talent as the Lincoln High School Jazz Combo takes the stage Tuesday. There's 2 shows, 6 and 8:30 to 10 p.m. Come cheer on these rising musicians. And on Wednesday, led by Mike Connor, the Shamrockers return to bring great tunes and lively energy to your midweek night. Saturday is already sold out. So that reminds us, anything you see you want to be at Trio Jazz, then get your tickets early. TrioJazzClub.com.
Dr. Perry Langston and Dr. Corey Tooney know excellence is in you. That's why they provide you with excellent care at XO Chiropractic, improving your overall health in spirit, body, mind, and will. Get results the natural way. Arrange a consultation, 605-332-9235 or exokairos.com. Excellent care for excellent people. XO Chiropractic, located at 4309 South Racket Drive in Sioux Falls.
Walking through the entryway of Phil's Pub, you can't help but notice the show pics and posters from the heyday of live bands in Sioux Falls. Phil's is back. They're on their way to reestablishing their iconic live music venue status. Come on into Phil's for a great local brew. You might just find yourself seeing some of the performers in those pictures, and a very good chance you'll see new acts that will end up being in pictures too. Phil's Pub, your local dive with music for the people. Follow them on Facebook and other socials. Keep up to date with who's playing at the pub each week here on the Dave Holly Hour.
Arts and entertainment lovers, you hit the mark. It's the Dave Holly Hour.
Welcome back, everybody. You know how I love to say it's always a pleasure to talk Sioux Empire Arts and Entertainment. Well, one of the guys that made it even more possible, he was on the second episode of this show. And, you know, the first week when I had my first show, I got like 25 downloads. And then Bob Wendland comes on the second show, and when he shared it, he hashtagged every single person he had mentioned in it, and we have 76 in 1 hour's time.
Well, yes.
So you make it possible for this show to keep
You're giving
going.
me too much credit, Dave.
You are worthy of all that credit, though. And once again, if people think I'm busy going to things and so forth, they're busy being in them. At the moment, you are involved in 3 different productions, correct?
In some way, shape, or form.
Right.
Yes, that is true.
All right. But let's talk first about the one that's coming up this weekend, then. Mothers and Sons.
Yes.
It's a Theater Lab production. It was a 2014, I believe was the year, nominee, Tony nominee for Best Play.
That's right.
And it reflects on the AIDS epidemic.
Yes.
That's what I know about it to this point.
Yes.
What do we all need to know about this?
Well, personally, I mean, I have a little bit of a story that goes with this. And if anybody who knows me and is listening knows that a little bit of a story is never really a thing for me. So buckle up. Here we go.
I'm ready.
Several months ago, almost a year ago, I think, Nancy reached out to me about this show. And at the time, I had kind of read the script. I was very familiar. It's written by Terrence McNally, who is just a prolific playwright. I mean, he has written so many scripts who have, these scripts are well-known scripts. A lot of them deal with different LGBTQ plus stories and issues and things like that. He's won Tonys. He's just a really well-known playwright. And I've read many of his works, but this one I had not. And so the first time I had read it, I think I was just in a very different headspace. At the time, I was involved in a show that I was really excited about and very focused on. And so when I read the script the first time, I was like, yeah, this is a good story. Mm-hmm. I don't know if it's mine to tell. I don't know if there's a connection here. I don't know, depending on the time of year and what else I'm involved in, we'll see. And then a few months later, Nancy reached out again and just to reconnect and to see, what I had thought. And it had been long enough that I felt like, okay, I need to reread it. I'm in a different headspace. I'm in a different, life situation. And I reread it. It's a less than 40 page show. It's 90 minutes straight through, maybe a few more if people laugh.
Right.
There are some comedic
Appropriately,
moments.
yeah.
Yes. And so I reread the script, and on the second read, I found myself just like fully connected to the character that Nancy is asking me to play. And for anybody who knows me and ends up coming to the show, you're going to think after the fact, like, what in this character is connected to you? So my character is the husband of the character that Jeppssen plays. And I'm sure we'll talk more about the incredible cast that I get to share the space with. But Jesse and Nancy really lead the very small ensemble that we have, and they are just titans in this show. I mean, the work that they have clearly put in to not only learning all of their lines and their blocking, but just like digging into the characters. That's another thing we should talk about, because this process has just been incredible for me in that realm alone. Just how much like digging deep we get to do, especially the three adults. And Felix, obviously, the kid who's in the show, he's a delight, but we're not rehearsing as often with him. Obviously, this week we will, but so she circled back, and we checked in, and I read the script again, and I was like, I have to do this. I need to be a part of this. And I was so grateful for the invitation in the first place. I think Nancy is obviously doing things in a different way than some of the rest of us are, where, she finds a story she's passionate about telling that matches her mission, that she thinks, Sioux Falls needs to hear, and she figures out who needs to be a part of that story, telling that story, and she reaches out. And one of my good friends, and yours, I know, and many people who are listening, Nick Jeppssen, he always talks about the power of the invite, just inviting someone to be a part of something, or to, celebrate something with you, or just attend an event with you. An invite in general is just such a powerful thing that I think
very true.
Yeah, we just sort of overlook. And so for Nancy inviting me into this process, it was a really powerful moment for me. And the first time in over a decade that I will perform in something that isn't Goodnight or like somehow managed by Goodnight. And so there was a little bit of risk in that too, but it was just, it felt like kismet. That second time I read it, and after she invited me again, I was like, yep, let's jump in. This is exciting.
And you're not the only Goodnight person that has jumped a bit, your husband.
Yes, yeah. So Luke was asked to direct the show. And similarly, I think, at the time when he was asked, he was involved in so many things. And I think the email from Nancy sat there for a little while, and they encountered each other in public. And Luke was like, I got to give her an answer. And ultimately, he and I talked, and we looked at our schedules, and we said, you know what, this is a story that isn't a direct reflection of our lives by any means, but there are a lot of thematic similarities, I will say, especially at the time that we're at right now in our lives of, growing our family and, dealing with our, not dealing with, we have wonderful families, but, our interactions with family that are so uniquely reflected in this script. It's a very specific script. It is a story about two men and their family in New York City in 2014. Everything is very, I shouldn't say very, but mostly pretty normal for them. They're both employed. They have, they live off West Central Park. They're living the good life. And then all of a sudden, Nancy's character drops by for an unexpected visit. She plays the role of the mother of one of Jesse's ex-boyfriends, someone he lived with for a long time. And this individual, his name is Andre, obviously not a character in the show, but a very prevalent presence throughout the show. So most of the show is Jesse and Nancy and their characters sort of reckoning with their past and their relationships, and mostly their connection to this person who is no longer around. Because Andre, you alluded to this before, but Andre died of AIDS many years before the play takes place. And so my character, is sort of coming in and out and reckoning with this, like I said, very like quote unquote normal existence that he's created with his husband and his son, and how that is sort of shaken up in just a moment, just because this person he's never met, he's heard of before but never met, drops by unexpectedly. So there's certainly some drama and some tension, but there's also, Felix, I think he's 9. He might be 10. If he's listening to this, he might be mad that I don't know how old he is. But Felix plays our son, and he brings such a like youthful levity to his performance. And obviously, he is significantly younger than the three of us, but it's a really fun, there's another really fun aspect of the show where there are truly 4 generations that are, exhibited through these characters. Jesse and I, one of the components of our relationship is that we are 15 years apart. And so that, sort of plays in, we're not in real life, but we're 15 years apart in the show. Nancy is playing a woman of a older generation as well. And then obviously Felix is playing a 6-year-old who's almost 7 in the show. So, yeah.
All right, so that's anybody else in the cast then?
No, it's just the 4 of us.
Just the 4,
Yep.
okay.
So Luke is directing us, and then Jen Amin is our stage manager, and she's just awesome.
She is.
Pretty new to that role, but really, the professionalism that she brings to every rehearsal, and just like the organization, she's always willing to, take the extra step. There's a lot of logistics that we're managing with Felix specifically. His character comes in and out quite a bit, and there are some scenes that aren't necessarily like super appropriate for a younger kid. And so Jen is doing a lot of that management backstage of making sure that Felix is in another room anytime there's any like language or specific situations that we don't want Felix around for. The other like really interesting component to this is that Felix's awesome parents have been around for a lot of the rehearsals as well.
Right.
So Luke wanted to make sure that, with the
Everybody
content
was
of the show,
comfortable.
that everybody was comfortable. Yeah.
All right. What has he found to be the most interesting or maybe even difficult?
Yeah, well,
in directing this?
I don't know that I can answer that question for him, but thinking back on some of the conversations we've had, a few weeks ago, he made the comment that this process was feeling really different for him. Similarly to me, almost everything that he's done in the last several years has been Goodnight. He's either mostly directed or written for Goodnight, but this year, performing a few times too, and a few times in the past. But primarily, he's been, directly connected to Goodnight. And so stepping out on a limb for both of us in this way to work for an organization that we have no say in really like the final product or the process or anything, it was a little bit of a leap of faith. And we had some really great conversations with Nancy, each of us separately, I think leading up to it. And it became pretty clear to us that, this was something that we needed to do. Not only was it a story we wanted to tell, but it was important for us as, leaders in the theater community through Goodnight to continue to sort of put our money where our mouth is. Ultimately, when we started Goodnight, we said we need to fill something that's not currently there. There's still so much there's so much great art happening outside of Goodnight in this town. We're not looking to compete with that or conflict with that. We're looking to like bolster that up even more. All ships rise in a high tide, or whatever that saying is. And so this to us seemed like a really perfect opportunity for us to like partner in a way, but not in a direct collaborative way from company to company, but just as artists, to show up to the table, me as an actor, Luke as a director, and offer our, services, essentially, our talents to another company that we believe in.
Well, that's a word that is tossed around almost every episode, collaboration instead of competition.
Yeah.
And it's so prevalent, whatever part of art we're talking about, whether it's performing arts, visual arts. And it's just I think it's a very key component of why our arts community is such a thriving community.
Yeah.
You take a look at, some of the other communities across the nation that are about the same size, kind of a slowly metro growing thing. And you talk to especially comedians that have gone to play in those different places.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
And it is not the niceties that they all share here.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a very different world outside of Sioux Falls when it comes to being in an arts community. And like I said, you are a very big part of this. Luke is a very big part of it. Nancy's been for many, many years.
Absolutely.
And, of course, Jesse coming back
Yeah.
and being involved again is just a phenomenal thing.
Yeah.
And so when it comes to all the other things that have come along since GNTC started, I mean, Monstrous is out there now, too.
Mm-hmm.
And now we've got Theater Lab, which Nancy Tapkin has, that you are being a part of now. And I know that, Debbie's always looking to do something edgy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I like how it's worded on everything that, in terms of a mission for Nancy and Theater Lab, thought-provoking.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so you wanted to start something that wasn't out there.
Yeah.
And now we have even more things that hadn't been out here
Absolutely.
in the past. And it's catching on.
Yeah.
And I'm thankful for that. I love it, for one thing. But, it puts, in fact, you were the first ones to make it a professional organization. That you do pay people.
We do, and I don't know that we are the first ones. Because technically, actually, Monstrous
I think
started a few months before us. Yeah,
didn't they? Yeah.
So they were paying folks, and I know like, Old Town has been doing like the stipend program for a long time because they understand that it takes a lot of gas sometimes for Sioux Falls folks and people in other communities to get there, but. Yeah, we didn't invent the wheel, certainly not.
Right.
And I wouldn't even say we had to reinvent the wheel. There has been so much good art coming out of this community for so long. We were just grateful to get to identify an opening at the time. And I would, it's interesting. I was just having this conversation with a friend earlier this week. If Goodnight didn't exist right now and everything that currently exists did, I don't know that we would open the company because to your point, the arts community is so much more robust than it was 10 years ago, which is incredible. I mean, now we have multiple companies doing cabarets and we're not even really going to be doing them anymore. We'll do them for gigs and things, but we have so much overlap. There are shows that there are titles that TPP has been doing that have been on our short list.
Mm-hmm.
And I think in a different community, to your point, when they announced their season and American Idiot was on the list, for example, American Idiot is a show that we've kicked around at Goodnight for a long time. But when they announced their season and it was on it, we were like, great, awesome, can't wait to see it, And so, again, I think there is a lot more overlap in the community now than there was before. Even like Monstrous and Theater Lab are doing some like very similar things. But the approach that everybody is taking is uniquely theirs. And I think that's maybe the thing or one of the things that keeps any of us from feeling too competitive or like we're stepping on each other's toes or we're, invading each other's space. Certainly it's the collaboration. Certainly it's the fact that, I can't remember the last Goodnight show where every single other like theater company owner in the community didn't come, and the same for Luke and I, we get season passes for everything for all the companies that have a season pass. We make it a point to see everybody else's work because, something that was implanted for me way back in college with my acting professor at Augustana College then. I'm aging myself now, it's university. But Julia Pashad Bennett, she would always say, she said two things. She said, make art where you are, and here I am, making art where I am. And she said, the best artists see other art. And that really stuck with me. I know a lot of theater professionals and a lot of theater people who don't, frankly have the time to see other people's work. And you could argue that I don't either, but it's really important to me, and it's a value of mine to go and see other work, whether it's here in Sioux Falls or, you know, I on occasion get to go to New York and other, you know, big metropolitan areas and see theater there. That is where I get my best ideas. That is where I like see people doing work better than mine and say, okay, challenge accepted. Even here in Sioux Falls, you know, there have been a lot of shows and a lot of individuals who I've witnessed their work, or I've seen a show and I've said, okay, we're raising the bar. I love this. Let's do it. Next chapter.
Yeah, and I want to bring out another of our very good mutual friends. Sadly, just moved out to Seattle, Sarah Crosby.
Yes, yeah.
I got to be a part of DAPA pretty early on, in helping with some of the, very much at the beginning. But I remember the first time Sarah was on my old radio show, and she told me, she says, the kids in Sioux Falls are just as talented as any kid in Los Angeles, Chicago, or New York. They just haven't had the opportunities. And I think that the pavilion opening and the sculpture walk, all kind of about the same time frame, just started this whole boom of what we have. So she said that they were just as talented. And now we've grown in terms of the types of things. It's no longer that we're just doing carousel or anything along that line. We've expanded to the different subjects. We've broached a lot of places that normally wouldn't have been. Does that make you a different actor now?
Wow. Great question. I mean, I feel like I am a different actor after every show that I'm in.
Always learning.
Always learning. And also, I was just having this conversation with someone else last week. I am the type of actor, listen, I love an audience. I love applause. I love the spotlight. But ultimately, like, what draws me the most to specifically the craft of acting and performing is how much I get to look within, right? How the opportunities for me to really like reflect on, okay, who is this character? What do the lyrics of this song mean? How do they pertain to me? At Augustana, when I was there, I don't know what they're using anymore, but we were trained on the Stanislavski method. And so for many years after college, I was like really committed to that, you know, I went through all of the steps that you're supposed to go through in that like very, you know, tried and tested acting method. And over time, I would say I've really kind of just like created my own that works for me. It's not one that I would, you know, like put into a book and ask other people to follow.
Available for $19.99 if you order before midnight.
Soft cover. I won't do hardcover. But yeah, I think I've over time and over all the opportunities that I've been given to explore different characters, to explore different worlds, to really put myself in situations that me, Bob Wendland, would never find myself in, but yet find those connections to my life and to who I am, and more importantly, to who I want to be. That has really shaped where I'm at right now, I guess, in my acting journey. And I'm in a time right now where I love to perform, and I'm really excited to play this role that I'm in right now for Mothers and Sons. I'm very excited to get to really start digging into Billy Flynn for Chicago, which Goodnight is doing next month. But I'm struggling right now because I'm directing a show for Goodnight next season, and I'm struggling to like not get too excited about that. Yeah, you know. So I think I'm at a place right now in my life where I just want to tell stories. And whether I am the vessel for that story or other incredibly talented local artists and actors are the vessel that I just get to sort of like speak through, I just want to tell stories. And I want to keep telling stories that speak to the people of Sioux Falls that support our art.
So speaking of character development, you said you kind of wanted to bring that back anyway with your cast members.
Yes. And
how they get into it. Is it when you're up on stage with them, even rehearsal time, sitting there? Yeah, I mean, you've been working on it for yourself and so forth, and then these people come on. Do you automatically go, wow? What happens? What makes you say, okay, this person has just figured this character out?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the fun thing for me is that this is the first time in a very long time where I'm sharing the stage with actors who I've never performed with before. None of the three of them have I performed with before. I've obviously seen many of their work.
Right.
Whether it's, acting, directing, or whatever. But I have not shared space or shared, the stage with any of these three. And so there was a little bit of anxiety going into it, I'll be honest, because I didn't know like how memorized everybody was going to be showing up to, their first rehearsal. And side note, they were all far more memorized than I was, but first place went to Felix. I mean, Felix had all of his lines memorized the very first rehearsal. He was off book. The rest of us, he obviously has a few less lines than the rest of us, but still, we were like, okay, that's the bar that's being set. So there was a little bit of anxiety, a little bit of intimidation, especially because I know how skilled and impressive, particularly Jesse and Nancy are, and how committed they are to every project they take on. I think that is just like crystal clear with everything that I've ever seen them do. But I realized pretty early on that this was a huge opportunity for me. It was an opportunity for me to work with people that I had never worked with before, and collaborate in a way that is not my own, a way that is created by Theater Lab and Nancy and her team. And I've learned a lot throughout this process about myself, certainly, but I think more so about just like the power of collaboration, that four people, obviously Jesse and Nancy have worked together before, but ultimately, four people who have never performed together, any of us in any iteration, other than Jesse and Nancy just performed with each other recently. But coming together and just like appreciating each other.
Yeah.
All four of us have incredibly different acting approaches, incredibly different. And Luke and Jen have found a way to really like make our four different acting styles feel natural. Because that's the thing, like there is no fantasy in this show. There is no like, it's hyper realism. Even the set is going to feel, I think for people who've been to a Theater Lab show, is going to feel more like grounded and realistic than some of the past ones have. And many of the shows that she's done in the past have been a little more ephemeral in a way. There's been like an element to them that is, mystical or make believe in some way, shape, or form. I think about the show that the two of you did, where it was letters back and forth. And, so many of her shows are rooted in realism, but this one is truly like, it's a bottle episode, right? Yeah. We start at like late afternoon on a Sunday in December, and we end early evening. It's 90 minutes of these four people's lives, and there's no cutaway, there's no like breakaway at all. The lights come up and they're on until the end of the show. And so it has to be pretty hyper realistic. And so pulling the four of us together in all of our different acting styles, and making them feel natural, making them feel like they're cohesive. It's been a fun process to sort of like watch happen too, because Luke is so intentional with his note giving as a director. And in this process, it's been so much more about like, okay, this line, what does this mean to you? What does this mean to your character? Here's how it's reading. Is this what you want, how you want it to read? It's been so much more collaborative than, hey, your blocking was wrong there. You have to cross stage left there instead of, like he's really given us a lot of space to explore. And I think that just organically has allowed the four of us and our very different acting styles to start to merge. And it's been fun. It's been really exciting. And I've learned a lot about, right, I've stolen, frankly, a lot of like different, beat shifts and approaches from my fellow actors, including Felix, who comes to every rehearsal with just this like energy and this like openness that frankly has been like really refreshing, like as adults and as people who are really used to working with other adults, it's so easy for us to get bogged down in like the technicality of it and how impressive it needs to be and how we need to get a standing ovation. And there's always an end game. And Felix goes to school and then he gets to come hang out with adults and tell a story. And then he goes home and goes to bed. Yeah. Like there's just like this freeness and this openness that he brings to every rehearsal that's been really refreshing for me too. And a good reminder to just like stay in the here and now, stay in the moment. So
All right. So it's Mothers and Sons this
Yes.
weekend, Thursday, Friday, Saturday night,
exactly.
correct?
Yep.
And where?
Well, so here's the other fun thing. It's at the Orpheum, but it's in the Ann Zabel Studio Theater,
Yeah.
a space that has been activated with theater in the past and live entertainment, but not for a very long time. I don't think anything like performance-based has happened in there since like pre-COVID, even a few years before COVID. So it's exciting to reactivate that space. We're doing it in the Thrust, so there's, audience on three sides,
Right.
very close to the action. You basically feel like you're in this apartment with them. Randy Rood is doing the lighting and the audio. The Pavilion team has supported that as well. So yeah, it's a collaboration of a lot of artists in a space that I'm hoping personally we see more and more live entertainment in the
Showtimes and tickets.
Showtimes. That's a really great question. I think we're starting at 7:30, but maybe at 7. I should know
So
this.
go on Facebook and go to
Yes.
websites
Our
and
call
find
is
it out.
7 o'clock, so I don't know what that tells you, or 6 o'clock. But yes, tickets you can get on the Orpheum Theater website, orpheumtheater.com, I believe, or maybe, I don't know. I really should have
One
brushed
way or
up.
the other. Well, I think you had enough info for us the rest of the way, Bob.
Yes.
I think you're good.
Google it.
So, okay, you've got that. You're going to be in Chicago. You also talked about directing next year. Is there something else in between, too?
Well, currently I am set designing for Pride and Prejudice,
Okay.
Which is this month. But that has been another like super collaborative process. Rachel Payne is directing this show, and she and I met many months ago. And some of the first words that she gave me in her concept and her vision of retelling this iconic story. I mean, Pride and Prejudice. Come on. I mean, what gets maybe the only more popular story ever to be told is like the Bible. So it feels pretty weighty to be telling this story visually, from my perspective. And so ironically, one of the first words she gave me was weightless. She wanted it to feel very ephemeral and weightless and romantic. And so instantly she and I connected on a vision, and it's been really fun, really different. I'm excited for good night audiences to see just the visuals of the show, because Cindy Baki is also doing the costumes, and they are exceptional. I mean, out of this world. And the like historic accuracy that she's bringing to them and to each of the actors wearing all of her pieces. I mean, it's going to be a visual masterpiece. And with Rachel's direction, Kelsey Werpy's stage management, and the entire cast, then I think it's a 19-person cast, full of like Goodnight vets and several like new Goodnight people that I am just like so excited that we were able to cast them in something, because I've seen them in other things and they're always just so impressive. It's a rock star cast, and I'm just excited that I get to be a little part of it, where I get to make some backdrops for them to perform in front of. So yeah.
But you are, this is, I don't know what number time this is of us
4 or 5,
conversing.
6, I don't know.
But I learned more about you once again, and I can see even more growth in you
Well,
and
thank
more
you,
excitement
Dave.
every
Thank you.
time,
That
too.
means so
And
much.
that's a great part to have. You can keep playing that role forever, okay?
Thank you.
All right.
Happily.
But that does lead us to, I don't think I've had the opportunity to ask you this question.
Okay. Hit me.
So the new question for somebody that's been on as long as you have, I try going with, what's the title of your autobiography going to be?
Oh my goodness. Okay. See, I was all prepared because I was listening to an episode recently where you asked the spirit animal question. Yeah. I should say I wasn't prepared, because I was thinking about that this morning, and I don't know what my answer would have been for that either. But my autobiography, I mean, this is going way back to college, I think, is when this sort of joke started between myself and my two best friends. We were having a conversation about legacy, I think, which is an extremely lofty conversation for college students to have. But it was, I think it was our senior year, and we were getting toward the end, and, one of my very best friends, she lives out in San Francisco and is an art therapist there. And my other best friend is working out in the New York, New Jersey area. And so we knew that we were all like, we were spreading our wings and flying, and like truly very differing parts of the world. And we were talking about this and thinking like, okay, what have we accomplished? What do we want to accomplish? And for people who know me, I am not a very serious person. Sometimes I really like to tell serious stories. Oftentimes I really like to, get into the psyche of people and situations. But in my day-to-day life, I am pretty much a goofball. And I get uncomfortable in serious situations. And so I recall having this conversation with my two best friends, Sonia and Jacinta, and they were coming up with, Sonia is a writer herself. She's a published writer. And Jacinta is now an art therapist. And so they are like two of the smartest people I've ever known. And why they decided to, be my friends freshman year of college, I will never know. But here we are many years later. And they had these like beautiful layouts for how they would tell their life story. And I was like, I think that my title would be Homo on the Range. And that was it. Just here I am, just a regular old gay guy in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, living my life. Nothing super exceptional, but happy about it nonetheless.
But you are exceptional.
Well, thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
And as always, thanks for taking time to be on the show.
It was a treat. Always a pleasure.
All right. And we'll be back with more of the Dave Holly Hour in just a moment. Trio Jazz Club is an intimate music venue in the heart of Sioux Falls. It's family-owned and family-run. Ricardo and Mary Beth and the entire staff provide the art of hospitality, while the best local and regional musicians provide the smooth sounds. It's a great vibe with live music Tuesday through Saturday nights. The chefs and mixologists offer an amazing menu and beer and wine lists. Cocktails as smooth as the jazz. Join the club, Trio Jazz Club, across from the Washington Pavilion. Enter as friends, leave as family.
Coming soon, another podcast from Big D Entertainment. Dave Holly's More, M-O-R, a show featuring the music and the stories of an oft-forgotten radio format known as Middle of the Road. The days of yore with More, M-O-R.
It's another Sioux Empire Arts and Entertainment conversation on the Dave Holly Hour.
Welcome back, everyone. Oh, I love to say it. It's always a pleasure to talk Sioux Empire Arts and Entertainment. And today it's a first-time guest, and I wasn't sure where to start the credentials on this, Ben. Do I go with Augustana University psychology professor, or do I go with drummer for Dad Bod Supreme, or do I go Batman nerd?
I'm going to go with, I'm going to start with the drummer.
Okay, well, let's start there because Dad Bod Supreme does have a show coming up next week, then on the 14th. And where's that going to be? And
that's at the Den.
What's the time and so forth?
At the Den here in Sioux Falls from 9 to 11 p.m. We're really excited. It's a great venue, and we're just excited to play here in Sioux Falls and share some of this music. You asked where to start, and I've been a percussionist my whole life, from the time I was a child. And
did you have one of those trap sets that were like $50 that the parents bought out of the Sears catalog? You didn't. So, oh man,
I that's why I call myself a percussionist before a drummer.
Okay,
I started piano as a 6-year-old,
right, and
did that for years. And then when I was about 14 years old, they did surprise me with a drum set, but it was a Yamaha. It was a drum set I was so excited to see. And I remember they led me on a scavenger hunt throughout the house for my last birthday present. And then when I came around the basement corner, my brother Scott, who was a drummer, who I admire and look up to, he's a big reason why I got into drumming, had it set on a little table up in front of our big screen TV playing the music video for Jump by Van Halen behind it. And I will never forget that image. Yeah, it's one of my all-time favorite songs. I walk around and he cued it, and it was just this beautiful moment. And I see this drum set in front of David Lee Roth and Van Halen singing Jump, and it's a flashbulb moment in my life I'll never forget. And that's when I traded the piano lessons in for drum set lessons and continued on there. But I never was a part of a band. I never really thought I would be.
Right.
I was, and when my good friend Mark Graber said, "Hey, what if we tried jamming?" And I said, okay, I'm 40 years old now. We'll give it a try. And we have taken off. We've been playing together for about 3 years now, and it is a light in my life. I love it.
All right. Ben Jeppssen is our guest, and we're going to talk about 3 different things. We'll talk shortly about the psychology professor. People are probably going, well, what's the art in that? But we'll tie it all back together. Don't worry. Yeah. So you're with Dad Bod Supreme. I always want to say bad dad or something. You know? That's what I say to myself around our dog. Oh, bad dad. So you got into this early, percussionist first before you actually got into the drum set. And were you in like a school band or anything? Did you take lessons, or was this all just, hey, I'm going to try this and I'm going to go on my own and learn it step by step?
You know, so my mother was a piano teacher for 40 some odd years. And so it all started with her and looking up to my brother, who was a drummer. But she also was wise. She knew that it's hard for a mom to be her child's piano teacher. So she very much taught me.
Really?
More than anybody else in my life. She taught me about music, but she sent me to somebody else for piano lessons. Because that helps with accountability. And so it all started there. But yes, then when I went to middle school, that was when I first started percussion. And I had a wonderful, wonderful middle school band teacher. Ed Beasley was his name.
Okay.
And he offered to meet me at school at 6 a.m. before school started and do for free, give me private percussion lessons because he wanted good percussionists, and he saw in me someone who wanted to be a good percussionist. And he met me and he taught me paradiddles and flams and how to play percussion. And he was such a devoted band teacher. I have so much respect for him, more than any of my band teachers, but that he had an influence on me. But that's where it started. And then I had some private percussion lessons here and there, but I really, I love music, and I love playing percussion musically. I once attended a 1-hour workshop on how to play the triangle musically.
Wow.
So yeah, I got that training, and then there was a time when I considered being a band director myself. And when I was in high school, I was thinking about maybe doing that in college. And so did marching band. I marched tenors. I played in the Meridian Symphony Orchestra out in Meridian, Idaho after I graduated, and played timpani and snare drum in that symphony orchestra. I love percussion, and drum set was always, I'll be honest, I didn't do jazz band because I felt like drum set was a weaker side of my abilities. I was intimidated by it. The symphonic percussion, the xylophone, the chimes, the timpani, I felt very passionately about doing that. And so later, the drum set piece came because my wife is also a piano teacher now, and she teaches. She's been teaching for 10 or 15 years now, and she lets her students pick their recital pieces. And they will often pick pop music.
Right.
And my kids, like me, they want to play Van Halen. They know the classics. My son just learned the full actual keyboard part to Right Now, which is a very busy piano piece.
Very much.
And we found the actual music that Eddie Van Halen played, not just some arrangement. Anyway, I noticed that she had more students at their recitals playing some of these songs. And I said, there's a digital drum set on sale at Guitar Center, Heather. And one of the reasons why I didn't practice drum set very much growing up is it was too loud in the house.
Right.
I felt bad to play this drum set and annoy all of my family. So I didn't practice the drum set very often. I said, but if I got a digital drum set, I could turn the volume down. And what if I accompanied your students who are playing pop music? They're playing Taylor Swift. They're playing Imagine Dragons. And wouldn't it be so fun for them if I'm playing a drum set next to them and it felt more like what they were hearing on the radio? And she loved it. I started with my own kids when Emily is my oldest, and the first song we did this to, she played Dreams by Van Halen on the 5150 album, and I played drum set with her at the recital, and it was great because I saw all the dads in the room nodding their heads, enjoying our performance. And after that, many of her students wanted that kind of accompaniment. Mark saw a video of Emily's performance on YouTube, on Facebook, and said, "You play the drums?" I was like, "I mean, kinda." That's I undersold, I think, a little bit because I was intimidated by it, and that's where it kind of started, and then invested in a full set. And I've been now for the last 3 years really applying those percussion skills that I developed over years, over decades, and finding that they translate actually very well to the drum set, and it's been fun.
All right, so mom was piano teacher, but she sent you to someone else to be taught the piano. And was that would have been back in the day when really it was an emphasis of if you want to be in the band and play drums or percussion, you needed to have at least 2 years of piano experience. But then were you kind of ahead of the curve as you got into the percussion with everybody else?
Absolutely. That was the requirement. It was. I remember in 5th grade when they passed out and there were a bunch of my friends were disappointed. They want to play the drums, but they didn't have 2 years.
Right.
I had 5 years piano experience by then. And I think that's part of why he said, Ben, I would love to meet you early and you're ready to go. And so I got all the best parts in middle school.
And now all the best tools too? Do you still have, a whole collection of different percussion things in the house?
Not a huge, we have a set of bells. I have a lot of mallets. Because when I went through high school and I played a little bit in college and when I played for the symphony orchestra, in percussion, it's different from the other instruments. You're not expected to have your own timpanis and your own drums.
Yeah.
So I have a mallet bag full of mallets that I've purchased and allow me, my marimba mallets, my xylophone mallets, my bell mallets, my timpani mallets, my snare drum, and then of course I've got, probably 40 sets of drumsticks. And so
what is your favorite percussion piece in terms of an instrument to play?
My favorite percussion instrument. Boy, that's really hard question. So one of the most fun performances I've had. I don't know if you're familiar with the movie Deliverance.
Yes.
And there's a scene with the dueling
banjos.
My senior year of high school, my band director recognized that me and another percussionist were skilled on the keyboards. And so he found an arrangement of the dueling banjos with xylophones, and it was called the dueling xylos.
Oh, wow.
And so he and I were on the stage in front of the band and playing that banjo piece, except for on xylophone. That was one of the most fun percussion experiences I've ever had.
That's awesome.
Just shredding those xylophones as fast as we can together in sync and in harmony. And that was cool.
Do you sing as well?
I do.
Yeah.
So in Dad Bod, we all take turns singing. And singing from the drum set isn't easy.
Right.
I mean, I'm already doing 4 different syncopated rhythms with each of my limbs, and adding my voice to that can be tricky. And also I can get tired. I'm moving around so much. But I do sing on 5 or 6 of our songs. And I grew up, my mom's greatest strength is her vocal performance. She was a vocal performance major in college, and she did Broadway plays and things like that. And so I got a lot of that from her as well. I did barbershop quartets in high school and things like that.
All right. So here's a question that I always ask, and this goes back to my band teacher then. What is your favorite kind of music?
I'm a rocker.
Okay.
I am a rocker. So I like, I grew up in the 80s, so I'm an 80s rocker.
Right.
I love Van Halen, Bon Jovi, and all of those.
I was catching on that you like Van Halen. Yeah.
But I also, I absolutely love orchestral music. I'm a big fan of, movie scores. Even as a teenager, I probably had as many CDs of movie scores as I did popular music. One of the things that my mom used to teach me when I would listen to music, I remember she doing this with the William Tell Overture, is she would say, I want you to just try and listen to the violins. And the William Tell Overture, especially when it gets going, right at the final act of that piece, all the instruments get a rest except for the violins. They never stop.
Wow.
And she would prompt me to break down an orchestra in that way and I'll listen to it and I'll try, I'm going to try and see if I can pick out the trumpets in this piece. And I love that because you start to hear just how complex this music is and how powerful it can be.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Well, so, okay, here's a story about my band teacher. If you look around, you'll see a Louis Armstrong Jazz Award. That is from 1981.
I wasn't born yet.
Yeah, and I got that, and just a week, maybe like 10 days before he passed away. I'm from Rock Rapids, so just, a 45-minute drive away. And he was an incredible band teacher. Didn't keep his office tidy, but he was an incredible band teacher. And he played every instrument, and so you got great lessons with this man. But small town, you do everything, so you're in band, you're in sports and so forth. So just a few weeks, or less than 2, I know it was a week for sure, but I was the last non-family member to see him in the hospital.
Wow.
And they had done a biopsy in his mouth that day, so it was filled with cotton. So he couldn't smile. His eyes could twinkle, though. And so I said to Tom, I said, there's two things that I want to tell you. I said, first of all, anytime anybody finds out I've been in radio, their first question is always, what's your favorite music? I said, you know what? In all these years since high school, I tell them the same thing every time. Good. Because in jazz band, learned how to play, Glenn Miller. And anything from that to Steely Dan and Peg and all these other different things in between. But a lot of Glenn Miller and a lot of swing and so forth. Those weren't popular things when I was growing up. I knew my parents had, some albums by the names that he was mentioning and so forth. I love that stuff, yet today, 45 years later, I'm like, this is good stuff. And you can see my idol there, Frank Sinatra. But nobody in my class back then listened to Frank Sinatra. So I told him, good. And he kind of, the corners of his mouth could go up a little bit and a twinkle in his eye. I said, the other thing is, all those medals, all those ribbons from sporting events, certificates, all that stuff. I said, I have no idea where it is now. It's been lost in different moves and things along that line. I said, but there's one thing that I have that I cherish and will keep forever in my office, and that is the Louis Armstrong Jazz Award that you gave me.
Oh.
And he could make an even bigger smile. And that was the last I saw him. And so I still have that great memory. I tell it often on this show, but it's that meaningful to me. And because music, is fantastic to begin with. It's the international language.
Yeah.
And then secondly, if you get a chance to see music live, take it. Because it's good for the soul, as a good friend says.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so, that answering of, obviously I'm with you. When Jump came out, I was a junior in college. And I heard that the first time, and I'm like, oh, this is incredible. Well, go back home for the summertime and watching Cubs baseball in the afternoon, and they used Jump as the intro music that year. It just starts off with that great stuff, and then America's sports station, WGN, proudly presents the Chicago Cubs. And man, if it didn't make it even better.
It's amazing the emotional context that music creates for anything, right? You try watching a scary movie without the music.
Yeah.
It's completely different. It gets even comedic sometimes, right? Music has a power over a situation.
Well, and I always think of it in terms of your memories. It's a historical marker in many ways.
Oh, yeah.
Because I can remember, first time I'm driving around town on a Saturday afternoon, springtime, got the windows down, arm out the window, and Michael McDonald and the Doobie Brothers come on with Minute by Minute. And I'm like, oh, this is different from regular Doobie stuff, but it's really cool. And I can remember that because in addition to that, Vicki Holmes was riding her bicycle, and we came to an intersection at the same time. So we sat and chatted for a few minutes, and she loved very much the same music that I did, especially we were huge Styx fans.
Oh,
yeah,
that's
very much Styx. But, Van Halen, when Jump came out, I jumped on that, pardon the pun. Had to have it, and that was long before downloads.
Yeah.
So I got it in whatever form I could. I'm sure it was vinyl at that point, just a 33, because 45s were starting to go to the wayside. But now I've got it in everything. Every format, we have it.
Van Halen, 1984, that album was the first music I ever owned. It was a Christmas present from my brother Scott,
right.
who was the drummer example to me. It was a Christmas present from him was the cassette of Van Halen 1984. So that's probably one of the reasons why it's so foundational for me.
Exactly. Well, you can also see in the studio here, like it's kind of such a strange array. You know, those are different cassettes that I got at different times. The Tom Jones one with the label that's just completely gone. First one I ever bought with my own money.
No kidding.
Yeah. Bachman Turner Overdrive was my first 8-track. Somewhere in that little short stack of 45s is Winchester Cathedral, which was a 45 that my sister had. And we had one of those little, plug-in record player. That's all it was. Had a little speaker in front, and it turned up the volume. And Winchester Cathedral. And, I just... and then first album I ever bought was Grassroots, Greatest Hits. And so I just... music means so many different things to us, yeah. So what's not in your percussion bag? Obviously, the big things like, going around and toting a xylophone around, things like that. But, what do you not have that you're itching to get?
Oh, interesting question. So the first thing that comes to mind is not an instrument, so it's a little bit of a disappointing answer.
Oh,
but on my drum set, I'm always heading to the drum set. It's getting too big. Mm-hmm. It sits and in the basement and takes up a lot of space. But I have a tambourine that I had mounted on a place on the drum set, but it wasn't a good place to mount it because every time I hit the drum that it was connected to, we heard the tambourine. So now it's disconnected and sitting on the floor. The next thing I'm going to buy, I need to get a good stand for that tambourine, so that it's on its own, because it just adds another level of texture to certain songs.
Right.
The next major thing that I really want is to get an upgraded digital drum set. The digital drum sets have come a long way.
Yeah, they have.
The one that I have in my home right now that I can practice on is a entry level one, and I've realized just how far they've come from 2 decades ago, and so now that's kind of what I'm saving up for is to get a nice digital drum set. Every gig that we play, depending on the nature of the gig, the one thing you can't turn the volume down on very well is the drums. And I play hard. I was not a jazz trained drummer, and so a nice digital drum set I think is the next thing, the next big purchase on my horizon that I would love to get. I think it'll make it easier for us in smaller venues, and it's amazing what they were able to do.
Yeah,
right? Like the hi-hat is the thing that I thought you could never really digitize, because there's so much nuance to opening and different layers on that hi-hat, and they're getting there with some of these sets.
One of my favorite parts of a drum set.
Oh, yeah.
I love hearing hi-hat in songs. Yeah, because you're right. It's just this different, and it resonates with you.
And just the slightest bit more pressure or less pressure with that foot completely changes the sound.
Yep.
It's the precision that is needed there. And so when I play on my set at home, there's only 3 settings. There's closed, open, and slosh, and so it doesn't pick on those subtle nuances, and it's frustrating, because I want just a little bit.
All right. So again, Dad
Bod Supreme.
Dad Bod Supreme, my goodness gracious. And it's just Coke this morning, too. Coming up at the Den on March 14th. What's the time there?
9 p.m. is when we'll start our set list. Come out and give us a listen.
I have to take a nap that day then. Okay, and probably one again on Sunday then.
Yeah.
But we'll make it.
Awesome.
Because you guys were kind enough to be at Avanti's show.
We had a great time.
Oh, that was a great show too.
That was a great show.
Yeah.
A lot of great performances.
Yeah,
the juggler and
and
Magic.
Then, we have Magic, and then let's see. We had some great vocalists too.
Oh yes.
Yeah, and then one of them was Valerie Aarons, but then we also had. Oh goodness, come on, David! Memory time. Clinton Storr. And he had brought some others along with him, and that was the start then of Creative Color.
Oh.
Yeah, because they just decided that, hey, this kind of worked for us.
Yeah.
And so let's do some stuff with it.
Very cool.
Yeah, and that included Etta, McKinley, who is now part of Atta and the Vendetta. And then she's also doing some solo stuff and all sorts of musicals, anything she can be in, she's doing it. And so it's fun to see how things take off.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that you guys, because I don't know how many gigs you had played actually prior to that.
Not very many. That was very early for us.
That's what I was thinking.
We loved the opportunity.
Yeah, and I was glad we could give you some money. Didn't fill the put butts in the seats enough, but at least we got you some dough. So how far are you thinking this stuff's going to go for you guys? What do you hope it is or becomes?
It's funny you ask that. There's a line that we often will throw around from when we first started, and the phrase is "to be clear." Because when we first started talking, some of us had bigger dreams than others. We'll just put it that way. And we were talking about how frequently we were going to rehearse, and I was like, guys, I need to spend some time with my kids.
Right.
And one of our members said, well, they just need to grow up. And I said, no, hold on. To be clear, I want to spend time with them.
Right.
It's not so much that they need me.
I love it. To be clear.
And so that comes up every now and then as we're talking. And I think that, we're not hoping to become we're a cover band. We have so much fun playing the music. And the energy that you feel from a gig is a lot of fun. And that's why we loved going to the Vadis and just being on a stage in front of people and seeing reactions. It's so fun. And I think that's what we're hoping to get out of it. This isn't going to be a second job or anything. Yeah. We would love it if we were doing a gig, every couple of months. And, so it's not taking over our lives, but we're 4 best friends having the time of our lives, doing something that we never thought we'd be able to do.
Yeah. And when you say that about, just getting the opportunity to be in front of people, I always think of that lyric from Glenn Campbell's song. Remember when I used to play these songs for free? Yeah. And I just think of that so much. All right, let's move on then. You arrive here. You just finished, were you teaching today?
Yes.
Right. And then you got over here to the Dipsy Doodle production studio. You look like a professor, jeans and then the sport coat. But underneath that sport coat, All right. At what point did you start off liking Batman? And then at what point did it become Batman nerd?
Oh, I appreciate you asking it that way. As a child, I read my first comic when I was 22 years old. So I did not grow up reading comics. I was 6 when Batman 1989 came out with Michael Keaton and Jack Nicholson. And I remember when my brother Scott came home and he was like, Ben, there's a new Batman and he wears black. And this is amazing. Right. And I saw it with him. Yeah, it was just a very different. It wasn't just this, this fabric suit. He was armored, and that's a great story for maybe another time. I don't know if you're familiar with how that movie came to be, and Good Investments, where you talked about buying your your website for only $1. Michael Uslan. Well, that's a long story short. Michael Uslan, his name is on everyone as an executive producer of every Batman movie. And it's because as a child, he was frustrated by the Adam West movies. He knew everybody was laughing at Batman.
Wow.
He said, everybody was laughing at my favorite character, and I'm going to change that. And as a child, that characterized his whole career trajectory. He went and got a law degree. He went and got a job at DC. And then when he'd worked there long enough, he went up to them and said, I want to buy the rights to Batman movies. And they said, don't do it. It's a joke. Batman's a joke. He's not worth it. And he said, you let me decide what's worth my money.
Wow.
So he bought the rights to Batman for cheap and then made it his mission to make a movie that took Batman seriously. And Michael Keaton's Batman in 1989 was the product of all his work. He has a book about it called The Boy Who Loved Batman, and it's an amazing story. And now he is a super wealthy guy. It's one of the best investments anyone's ever made.
Exactly.
Anyway, sorry, that's a sidebar.
No, but that movie is a great sidebar.
That movie, I had a chance to meet him and talk to him for like 30 minutes at a Comic-Con recently, and it was incredible. But that movie is when I started liking Batman. I thought it was a cool movie, and I would watch it almost every day when I'd come home from elementary school. And but I wasn't a huge Bat nerd. I didn't read any comics. Then when I was in college and I started studying psychology, I didn't know what I wanted to do with it. but I knew that I liked this idea of why do people think the way they do and behave the way they do? What do feelings have to do with this? I'd seen people around me struggle, and I wanted to learn more about mental health, but I didn't know really what I wanted to make out of this. And in 2005, summer of 2005, again with my brother Scott, I went, and this time with my brother Kevin as well, we went and saw Batman Begins at midnight on a Wednesday night. It was the first opening showing in our city. And I know it sounds dramatic and silly, but that movie was a life-changing moment for me.
Nothing sounds silly.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
This movie, it spoke to me in a way that no other movie had before. In this movie, Bruce Wayne, he's training to try and make a difference in his world, and he doesn't know what he's going to do. And there are two things that govern his training as he goes to the League of Shadows in the mountains of Tibet or Bhutan. And he gets trained to have the will to act. The will to act is important, learning to have the willpower to act even when you're afraid. And so, like, there are things where they discover that he's afraid of bats. And so they surround him with bats, and they train him to have the willpower to act even when he's afraid, and the courage to do what's necessary in to make the change he believes is valuable to change. I went back and I saw that movie in the theater 6 times because I was just like, this is what I want. I want to help people have the will to act when they're afraid, and the courage to do what's necessary to change their lives. Now, no, I'm not going to go and become a nighttime vigilante.
Right.
But people want to change their lives. That's what I want. I want to help them have the courage to do what's hard to do and the willpower to make those changes, because that's how those change. And so that's when I then started, well, what comics did Christopher Nolan use to make this movie? And the first comic book I ever read was Batman Year One, which is what Batman Begins is based on. It's Batman Year One, Batman The Long Halloween, and The Man Who Falls, which is a short, new version of his origin story. And the more I started to read about this character, the more I became a fan. So I became a huge Batman nerd because of psychology.
Wow.
It was.
I guess I've never heard anybody put it that way.
Yeah, it's there. Now, obviously, he's not a perfect model.
Mm-hmm.
He's far from a perfect model. But one of the things, again, this is something that I learned from my mother. She would often say there's a lesson in that to just about everything around us. There's a lesson in that. And so growing up, I learned to look for lessons, and I got pretty good. And this is my teaching style. Just today, I was teaching a counseling skills course, and we watched 10 minutes of an Office episode. I've gotten good at finding lessons in popular media. And so over time, as I became a student of the character, it was funny. I went to graduate school in counseling psychology at the University of Louisville. And in my very, very first paper in my PhD program, the prompt was, you need to write a paper about counseling psychology, minimum 25 pages. That was the prompt. That was it. And we had to come up with a direction. And I was struggling to do it. And then I had this idea of, well, what if I looked at the main themes of the official counseling psychology conferences? Because one of the problems with counseling psychology is we are a separate field from clinical psychology, but we're almost identical. And so there's a little bit of an identity crisis. We're not sure who we are sometimes, at least at the time. That was my impression. And so that's what I wrote a paper about, was we're not sure who we are, but what we can do is look at what are the main themes in our conferences as evidence of what we do. And I quoted Batman Begins in this paper. There's a great line in the movie. It's not who you are underneath, but what you do that defines you. And that was, again, one of the messages of this movie that I loved, because sometimes people feel so much guilt about things about who they are underneath that they're hiding. I'm like, it matters what we do. We define ourselves. And so I used that. I quoted it. And the director of training who was teaching that class circled my Nolan 2005 citation and said, cute, but let this be the last time you reference Batman in a doctoral paper. And I took that as a challenge. I took that as a challenge. Every single case study I wrote in my counseling psychology training, if they were male identified, they were named Bruce Wayne. If they were female identified, they were named Selena Kyle after Catwoman. I took the deepest dive into this, though, in another class. It was a psychology of career development class. And the final paper that they assigned was that we were to choose a counseling client that we had, that we were a real person that we were working with, anonymize them, but then apply as many different theories of career development to them as we can, describe their career development from as many different theories as we can apply. And I ignored the prompt. And instead I wrote a paper about why Bruce Wayne would become a nocturnal vigilante for his career. And I applied as many theories as I could. I applied about 7 different theories of career development. And this was a different professor. It was a risk that I took. But the only feedback I got on the front was, it just said, fun read, A. I got an A for it. Because he was like, the point was showing that I understood career development.
Right.
And I applied it. And that was an important moment for me, because it was reinforced, it was recognized as not too silly or ridiculous, but that we can find psychological theory in our fictional characters. I'm a big believer in teaching truth through fiction. Mm-hmm. And so that was fun for me, but it still hadn't gotten to where it is now. Later, when I started teaching at Augie, they have a class called First Year Seminar. And at Augustana, there's a class that all students, we're finding that college students more and more, for lots of reasons that we don't need to get into here, are less and less prepared for college life. And so we have these 2-course sequence of First Year Seminar that teaches them basic college skills to help them succeed. Basic writing, basic oral presentation, ethical reasoning, orientation to campus, and critical thinking. And I was teaching the second course. They asked me to teach the second course in that sequence, which was focused on ethical reasoning and public speaking. And they said, as long as you're hitting our learning objectives, we don't care what you use, what the vehicle is for teaching this, so long as it's interesting and it'll engage students and it helps them reach these goals of ethical reasoning and public speaking. And I got this idea when I was thinking about ethical reasoning about the question of, should Batman kill the Joker? And so I started building a course around this. And then I realized that there's a lot more space in this class than I thought. I could add some mental health skills in this class that can help prepare students for college life. And the course became Applied Psychology of the Batman, was the name of my course. And there was no textbook. They had to watch 9 movies throughout the course of the semester. And we used Batman to teach ethical reasoning. We used Batman to teach mental health skills. And they had to give us an informative and persuasive speech about something related to Batman. And it was a ton of fun.
Oh, wow.
And that's what started this process of really starting to look at how there's a lot of mental health principles here. And I got the idea of writing a book. And so that's what I'm working on now. I'm 1 chapter away.
Fantastic.
I'm 1 chapter away from finishing Applied Psychology of the Batman. And I took this and I've started going to Comic Cons. And for about the last 5 years, I've been doing, I go to Comic Cons and I do Batman psychology presentations, specifically from the perspective of what are the mental health lessons we can learn from Batman to develop the will to act and the courage to do what's necessary in our lives. And it has been a ride. It is, I love that it's become a part of my career to be able to, because I realized the first time I did one of these was in Salt Lake City at FanX there. And, 250, 300 people came to this panel called Applied Psychology of the Batman. And I was the only panelist. So it wasn't really a panel, it was a presentation. And when I finished my presentation, I didn't save time for questions. I wasn't sure if people would even care. And so I just delivered this 45-minute presentation. I had 5 minutes left. I said, are there any questions? And like 30 people immediately got in the aisle to line up behind the microphone. And I was like, oh my gosh. And I spent the next hour standing in the hallway talking to people who really connected with this presentation that I gave on Batman's oath and how purpose in life is a mental health skill that's a superpower. And I realized there's a subset of people out there who will never pick up a mental health book from Barnes & Noble, but they might talk about the psychology of Batman. And that is how I help people in the way that I want to, as I was inspired by Batman in 2005.
Do you ever do cosplay?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Do you ever do cosplay when you teach?
I've never worn a bat suit. I have worn a Batman mask. So my sister is a amazing cosplay designer. So people come to her and ask her to design their costumes, and she does these movie quality, incredible costumes. And so she gave me a cowl that is in the style of Christian Bale's cowl, the Batman Begins cowl. She also, the one that I do wear almost every year when I teach around Halloween, she got me she didn't get me, she made me an Arkham Asylum lab coat with a Dr. Hugo Strange name tag. Dr. Hugo Strange is an evil psychologist who is obsessed with Batman. So I tell students I'm cosplaying as myself.
There you go.
You know?
All right. It's been such a pleasure. And again, you are a professor of psychology. You use those and apply the things of Batman to that. And it's just everything about you, Ben, is just fantastic to learn about. And I so appreciate you taking the time, but you're not out of here yet. As the first-time guest, you get a question that sometimes leads to a second question. How you answer number one depends on whether we will move on.
Okay.
All right. So when you are not part of the arts and entertainment yourself, what do you like to be entertained by?
When I'm not part of the arts, so what do I like to be entertained by? Well, you know, I love watching movies.
Mm-hmm.
I do love watching movies. And I've also, I say recently, but it's been in the last 10 years now. I've gotten back into reading. When I started counseling, I needed a better outlet because it can be hard.
Right.
Hearing people struggle all day. And so I got into audiobooks and reading. And that's when because I wasn't a reader, I'm a slow reader. Reading comprehension was hard for me. That's why I was always bad at standardized exams growing up. A little bit of ADHD getting in the way. And so I never got into reading growing up, but I got into some fantasy series. And so I love reading fantasy. There's a fantasy series in particular that I actually started a podcast this year about, which does the same thing with Batman. It's what are the mental health lessons in the Stormlight Archive, written by Brandon Sanderson. And that takes a lot of my time now because his books are massive. Each book is over 1,000 pages long. They're massive, but there's a lot in there. And I've gotten into. I think I'll go with that. I love movies, but I love reading fantasy these days.
So then, any other hobbies?
So many hobbies. I like to think of myself as a Swiss Army knife. I do lots of things, just nothing especially well. I'm a pretty good drummer. I'm not the best. There are other tools that'll be better, but I can do it. And I love reading. Other hobbies. I play on a community softball league here in the Christian co-ed softball league. I'm first base. And
because you're tall.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I always say that I'm tall, but I don't throw especially accurately. But at first base, I receive a lot of balls that I can catch. Go. Yeah. So I play on the team for the Church of Jesus Christ Latter-day Saints. It's a Christian co-ed league, and I do love doing that in the April to March months.
All right. Fantastic. Again, thank you so much, Ben. Appreciate the time.
Thank you for having me on.
It's been a pleasure. Yeah. All right. And we'll be back with more of the Dave Holly Hour in just a moment.
Ladies, when it's time to give your nails some love, get that extra special treatment from Quality Nails in Sioux Falls. Manicures and pedicures that look great and make you feel fantastic. Zaya and Tony don't simply provide the service, they provide professional care for your hands and feet, whether you just want the basics or you're looking for an extra special look with added flair. Oh, and guys, it's okay to treat yourself too. Quality Nails on Minnesota Avenue. Call for an appointment, 605-334-1463. Walk-ins welcome.
Saturday night at Phil's Pub. Keep it local, keep it loud. If you're looking for polished and fancy, you're in the right place. If you're looking for a cold beer and real live music, welcome home. This Saturday is band night featuring Colin Donnelly Acoustic, raw sound, real crowd. No filter, just a great night of music in the kind of bar where everyone's here for the same thing, a good time. Phil's Pub, it's your local dive bar for live bands, karaoke, sports on the TVs, arcade games, bar games, private parties, all with fast service and a solid beer lineup. No kitchen, no problem. Bring your own food or order in and stay a while. No fuss, no pretense, just show up. See more at philsdtsf.com.
The Dave Holly Hour, like eavesdropping on a great conversation between two very interesting people.
Welcome back, everybody. Yes, we've got a big show today, don't we? And that's for good reason, because a lot of great stuff happening. And then you got to throw in the fact that we have to introduce you to our latest major sponsor, Phil's Pub. And it's back open, everybody, and they're doing great guns, and that's because of Grant and Jordan. And Grant Boes is here to tell us all about it. How are you, Grant?
I'm doing well, Dave. What's up, everybody?
Oh, yeah. Great to have, another venue of live music going once again in town.
So cool, man.
Yeah, and, I think there's many of us, at least of, my ilk in terms of age, that remember Phil's and its prior. And what made you get involved in bringing it back?
Great question. And, man, if Phil's walls could talk, they would have a lot of stories. And funny enough, Jordan and I have started to hear a lot of those stories.
I can imagine.
Meet all the regulars and just the whole way it happened. But I guess taking a big step back, first and foremost, they might not want me to shout them out, but our wives, Jordan and I are brother-in-laws. We married sisters. When my wife and I moved back about 3 years ago, pretty organically, her and her sister ended up starting a couple small-scale event spaces here in town.
Okay.
Called Convo and Casetta. Subtle plug.
Yeah.
Shout out. Can book private parties there.
Uh-huh.
But overall, they really established themselves and were really successful. Jordan and I saw that, and we were like, you know what? Maybe we can do something dumb. Maybe we can do something fun and crazy. And Jordan had actually been, Jordan's family and Jordan had been a regular at Phil's. His family would go there way back in the day when it was Phil's, live music, up to Little Kalinga, back to Phil's.
Right.
So they got Jordan going there. He'd been going for about 7 years. And one day he was like, dude, you should come to Phil's. And I did. And I love dive bars, saw the potential there. And it was very surreal. Like almost at the same time, Jordan and I were just drinking beers, as one does, look at each other. We're looking around. And I was like, are you thinking? Are you like literally at the same time?
Oh, wow.
Like, we should buy Phil's. And then we did.
Oh, that's awesome.
Pretty funny the way it happened. Phil was in Arizona at the time.
Mm-hmm.
He typically closes after football season, goes down and enjoys his time in Arizona for a couple months. Jordan called him up. I think he had maybe a 3-minute conversation with him. It was literally just like, hey, Phil, I want to ask this as like respectfully as possible, but just wondering if you want to sell the bar. And he just goes, yeah, I do, actually. Perfect, Jordan. I'll be back in 2 months. We'll talk then. And it was, I would like to like
a short process.
Spice it up more than that, but literally it was just meant to be. Things just kind of work out the way they're supposed to. I always believe that, and it just feels very natural.
Yeah, and it's funny how things work. So we got introduced via the members of Search for George.
Yes, sir.
Who had played there, but they
out.
didn't approach you as Search for George.
Mm-hmm.
They approached you as
patrons.
Patrons,
Yeah.
yes. They come in, Mr. Dom, Mark Dom from Recording Warehouse,
Mm-hmm.
and then David Pendry,
Such
Crazy
cool guys.
Poet Records. They come in, sit down, have a beer, and get talking and so forth. And all of a sudden, I get this note from them. Hey, did you ever go to Phil's? Yeah, back in the day. Well, they're open again. And, well, we're going to do a writer's round there.
Yes, sir.
And it's like, okay, cool. Would you MC it? All right, will do. And so in that time frame, then you started listening to the podcast to find out what it was about, because we were going to be on and talking about that event. And then I walk in the door, and you walk right up to me and introduce yourself and tell us about it. And you were already saying, hey, we want to be sponsors.
We're thinking ahead.
Yeah,
We're
thinking that. And it's like, okay, well, let's set something up in the meantime. Been back another time for another writer's round. I'm tabbed for a couple more to be coming along. And what I'm seeing is just such fun stuff. And for instance, this week, you've got Colin Donnelly, correct?
We do, yep.
Yeah.
March is honestly pretty stacked up.
Boy, no kidding.
So is April, and so is May. It's
Yeah.
really, really cool the way it's happened, and it's been pretty natural and organic.
Yeah.
Like going back to Mark and David, how we met them. I guess full real quick story of, all right, we bought the bar September of 2024. Our first thought was, let's not do too much too fast.
Right.
Let's take these, and because Phil's is a pretty busy bar during football season, a lot of people that like football. Take a step back, and we're like, let's just make sure we meet all the regulars. Let's get on a personal basis with them.
Right.
And that has actually been so cool. That's probably both of our favorite parts of owning Phil's, is just all the people we've gotten a chance to meet and become friends with. The friendly confines of Phil's, right? Little rough exterior, but you walk in and you kind of feel like you're greeted with a warm hug.
Well, and the other thing about it that I love is walking in the entryway. You see the old posters, you see the old pictures, nostalgic in many ways, retro looking, and just has that feel of, hey, we're in the right spot. And, you know, that's one of the things that, you know, you just own it right up front. Your local dive bar.
Local dive. No frills, Phil's. Your favorite dive bar's favorite dive bar. I got a bunch of stuff to say. But,
well, and then music for the people.
Music for the people. I like that one a lot. And, yeah, shout out our wives. That was their idea. So the first 8 months or so, we just ran the bar as is, didn't change anything. Then come February after the Super Bowl, so February of 2025, we closed for a month. And we were like, okay, there's a couple things we have to do. Phil was never one to get rid of anything, right? So you could like barely walk in the back room. We had so much help from friends and family too. Jordan's family really helped us out. His uncle, who's also a regular there, it helps because they want to see the bar clean as well. So loaded up huge trailers, took so many things to the dump. It probably took 3-4 trips to get everything cleared out of there. But overall, we kind of just did a lot of the basic stuff, necessities that needed to be done. The bathrooms, for example, gutted those, rechanged those right away. Those needed it. Redid the flooring behind the bar in the bathroom, and then redid his electrical, put up TVs, put up all these signs and cool posters that he had just in the back. And that was the thought process from the vestibule that our wives decided, like, look at all of these cool. We knew that Phil's was a music venue, but it just really kind of hit us in that moment when we were in the back room and just looking at all these posters just like falling off the ceiling, crinkled everywhere. We're like, these should be showcased. This is sick. Why would we not? Our wives took probably 3 full days placing them out, wallpapering them up to the vestibule and putting them out. And that really just tied the whole thing together. And we also, the last thing, I guess I'd be remiss not to mention, we did redo the HVAC because Phil's was a popping spot in the 90s. And cigarettes were also popping in the 90s. So I think the dude, he'd been doing HVAC for like 25 years. He was like, this is quite possibly the dirtiest HVAC I have ever seen. I'm like, oh, great. Well, glad you're here. Switch it up for us. Thank you. Then, it took about a month, maybe 5 weeks, reopened St. Patty's Day of 2025. And that was one of my favorite days because almost every single regular was like, at this point, we're friends, right? They're texting us like, hey, when are you guys going to be open again? When are you going to be open again? March 17th happened to be a Tuesday, St. Patty's Day, but probably like 60, 70 people came. Phil even was back, and he came, and that was really cool to see his face. Just
was he smiling about the whole scene?
He was, and we all know Phil, and he doesn't always show a ton of like emotion, but he was pumped that day for sure. It was cool to see. That led us. Sorry, I might even just. I don't know. Once I get talking about Phil's, like I could talk all day, right?
Feel free to.
But also, so we bought the building, which came with 3 upstairs units, and as if it wasn't already a music spot back in the day, the thing that was kind of really keeping music alive, or at least in our heads, was, hey, we have 3 suites upstairs, and there's bands that practice up there.
Right.
And at first, you're like, is that a problem? We're a business trying to operate, and basically. Turn a positive into a negative. We were like, hey, we don't know anybody yet. Started to become good friends with some of the bands up there, and we're like, Tough Roots, come rip our first show. And they did in July, and that was super cool. Shout out Chris and Tough Roots. That first show is when Mark and so all that to say, now we get back to Mark and David. That's when they came to the bar. We were so surprised. There was probably like 80 people there, but for us at the time, we were like, wow, dude, Phil's, people are coming.
You're filling Phil's.
Yes,
yeah.
we're filling Phil's. And Mark and David came up and they ordered a beer, and then they were just like pointing around at the wall and stuff. And then they're like, hey, Search for George, what about them? I was like, oh, yeah, we just found it in the back. We thought it was really sick. Just put it up. And they're like, we are Search for George. I was like, oh, no way. Okay, what's up, guys? And just very natural, organic, became friends. And those guys owning, of course, Warehouse Recording Studio and Crazy Poet Records approached us about getting live music going again. And they're passionate about it as well because, as you were saying, they got their start in the 90s at Phil's.
Yeah.
They came in with, so it's kind of funny, me and Jordan, brother-in-laws, brothers, I guess you could say, bought a bar from two brothers, Phil and Skip. Yeah. And they'd approached Skip in the 90s and convinced him to let them just come in and play I think it was Tuesdays, just come in and play every Tuesday. First Tuesday, 10 people. Second Tuesday, 25 people. Third Tuesday, 80 people.
Wow.
Fourth Tuesday, and then from then on, just packed and became a music spot. So they got their start there, and then they're kind of giving back to us in terms of like, hey, we want to help bring this back and help you guys. And it's been awesome. The Writers Round is a really cool event featuring all the local artists. And of course, we have live music and shows, but I'm really passionate about the Writers Round because it's a good chance to actually get to know the artists first and foremost. It's there's a bustling scene for music in Sioux Falls. There's so many people. And
there are very few people that realize how many people there are that are singer-songwriters.
Yeah. Yep.
And they're coming up with original music. And I know that, one of my favorites that they have, Natty Jean, she's going to be at the show in May.
She is.
And I'm looking forward to that. And she's just a great human to begin with, very talented. And I don't know if her dad's planning on making the trip with her or not.
I think he is.
Okay. Yeah. And he's
kind of Fleetwood Mac-ish.
Yeah.
I really
very much so. Yeah. And of course they have a tie-in with Mark and so forth. But so then we're at my wife and I, we were at a watercolor painting class.
Sounds riveting.
Yeah, over at Good Natured a while back.
Oh yeah,
being
that's
taught
a cool
by
spot.
Yeah, it is being taught by Alex Lunstra, and some lady that was also with the class says, "Well, Phil's is open again. Did I hear? Well, what's going on there?" And my wife immediately speaks up. She says, "Well, we can tell you who's going to be emceeing a music event there in a few days."
That's a good wife. She's shouting you out.
Yes, she was. And so we start talking about that and talking about all the different bands. And I said, yeah, I'm friends with a couple of the guys who used to play there a long time ago. I'm going to be playing there again. Search for George. And Alex goes, Search for George. My dad was in that band.
That's so cool.
He's passed, several years. But it's just like everything, when I keep talking about this with other people, here's another story. Here's another link.
Yeah,
it's all coming back, and I'm guessing that the past regulars, current regulars, are bringing a lot of that lore back as well.
They are.
Yeah.
They are indeed.
What's been one of the funniest stories that you've heard?
Oh man, there's so many, and they're probably mostly appropriate for conversation at Phil's, right? I think overall, just honestly, Mark and David's stories, maybe it's not funny necessarily, but I just think that's one of the coolest stories.
Right.
Like them getting their start there, them randomly coming back to our first show. And from that point on, it's just
building a relationship.
I guess it's kind of funny how it happened. Yeah. Like just, we'll just do one show, see how it goes. And then it's just been very, very natural and organic since then. Every time we do one thing, it kind of just leads into the next. But that's because you just try to give off a positive, good vibe, good energy. And, if you're good to people, they're going to be good to you. And we've had plenty of people reaching out to us. Like, it kind of impresses me. Like, people reach out on Facebook Messenger and be like, hey, used to play at this bar in the 90s. We'd be honored to play there again. I'm like, honored? Wow, okay. Yeah, you can play. So it's, since July, I think we've had about 10 bands. one of my favorites, actually, the sweatshirt I'm wearing here, Chris Lager.
Okay.
He was there on January 10th, and
that was a big show, wasn't it?
Yeah. Huge, man. He was such a cool guy. He's one of the best guys we feel like we've met so far, and he's actually coming back as well. May 2nd. I think that's gonna be one of the biggest things at Phil's coming up. Obviously, we can talk a little bit more specifics about the schedule, but May 2nd, it's Cinco de Mayo Saturday. We're gonna have a Kentucky Derby party that day.
Oh wow!
Chris, the first time he came on January 10th, he packed Phil's. Phil's was filling, right?
Yeah.
But this time he's bringing his full band, and gonna be a huge show May 2nd.
Wow!
And it's just really cool to see like somebody comes and loved it.
Yeah.
Felt the love, felt the vibe, and wanted to come back.
Yeah. Well, so we've got Colin Donnelly.
Yep. Colin Donnelly on March 7th playing an acoustic set. And we got
Friday
introduced
night
to him by Mark and David.
Yeah. And let's see, 7 p.m. for the shows, right?
7, I think it's Colin, I believe. Let me pull stuff up here. I know he's playing Saturday, March 7th, so it'll be a pretty good time if people are leaving the Summit League and want to check out some live music or show. Like, I think it could be a really fun day. And he's a really talented artist. I love obviously we have covers, we have all that, but I love when people play their raw original music, and he does like a cool blend of outlaw country and like rock. And
he's been on the show before, and super
awesome.
guy, and so that'll be great.
Yep,
and then
7 p.m.
Yeah, 7 p.m. And the bar opens at 3, though, right?
Yep.
Oh, there you go.
You gotta get
4
started
hours
a
of
couple
pre-show.
early.
Yeah,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And then next week, a very dear friend, actually, he's become one over the years, Matt D.
Matt D, man, he's so cool.
Oh.
First time I heard his voice, I was floored. It was the first writers round, which was another reason we were like, this event, the writers round, is cool in and of itself. Just kind of like the Bluebird style in Tennessee, like helps artists tell their stories behind the music and then play for a quiet crowd that's actually there to listen to them. But I really liked the idea because it was going to organically connect us with artists, with the people. So once they're there, literally talked to Matt that night and was like, dude, you got to come back. Said, done. We'll do it. And
perfect.
Made an event the next day, and that was like 3 months ago, and we're coming up on Matt D's show, so looking forward to that on March 13th.
Yeah, Bad Man Americana Blues, you know. And
Hemingway
so
of the Highway, he said.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, I love that part. That was, I think, a review that somebody put that in and called it the Hemingway of the Highway. Yeah, that's a cool slogan to have, no doubt about that. So then, what are you expecting out of this Phil's reinvention now that we've got live music back in there?
Good question. When I take a step back, it's only been a year and a half that Jordan and I have owned it, but really it's been so cool what we've been able to accomplish in a short amount of time. And I think that there's just so much nostalgia, history, and lore, and people looking for live music. Not that there's not other live music venues in downtown. Of course there is, but I think there's just a perfect niche for Phil's, like a fun, easy night out. It's approachable. And once you get there, you're just like, wow, actually, I love it in here. I want to stay and hang out. And we've had such good response from people. So I guess what I'm expecting is for it to continue to grow and fill, and hopefully more people know that Phil's is back.
Isn't it also a very good feeling when people are asking if they can come play?
Oh, yeah. And they said, I'd be honored to play. It's like, at Phil's? No way. All right, let's do it. And we've actually started to get pretty organically connected with some of the other cool dive bar owners in town. Like shout out Ken's Corner. They've been really awesome. They came to I Know Right on February 20th. Got a chance to meet them. That place was packed that night. We couldn't believe it. It was could have been overcode. I don't know. We'll say it was 154 people, right?
So what you're saying is the code is 154.
Yeah, 155. So it was 154. Yep. But Ken's, they've reached out and offered some advice, and even passed along a couple things for us. So our next show after Colin and Matt is March 26th with a bluegrass jam band called Dig Deep. They are out of Wisconsin.
Uh-huh.
I think it's Stevens Point, Wisconsin, and they were actually going to play. Long story short, they were going to play somewhere else here in town. They had a scheduling conflict with that, so that guy had referred him to Ken's, and then Ken's was like, "Hey, I think this is going to be
too big
tight,
for our
too
britches.
big for us. You should take them on." And it was just a really cool, really nice thing to do, and things like that have just been happening. We're just really organically falling into more live music, and then really excited about that one. It's cool to book bands from out of town, show the Sioux Falls scene some additional music maybe they haven't heard.
Well, not only that, but show those people what Sioux Falls
Exactly.
can offer them as
Yes,
well.
100%. Yeah. And been looking those guys up. They jam. It's a fun little bluegrass show. We haven't really had one like that yet,
right.
So I think that'll be cool. And then capping off March is March 28th, the third edition of the Writers Round with Mark and David, and probably you.
And I'll be there, yeah.
You're locked in. You're locked into at least a 2-year
I do
contract.
believe so, yeah. And looking forward to being there every time, looking forward to being there other times as well.
For sure.
And it's just, I just love the fact that here's something that's part of Sioux Falls lore, and it's back and continuing and going to be that way. And I just have the feeling with your guys' enthusiasm, the enthusiasm of local musicians and bands, and the fact that you took it slow.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't just open a bar and, we're going to be successful, and boom.
Yep.
And everything's fallen in the right way for you guys. Very happy for you guys.
For sure.
Yeah, and looking forward. I'm loving the fact that you happen to be another of our major sponsors here on the Dave Holly Hour. And
with a voice like that, how could we not sponsor
exactly,
this show?
Yeah. Zach Dresch did your commercial.
Oh, yeah.
He did the voiceover on that.
First time I heard that, I was like, wow, dude, this is awesome.
And then Zach's father, Zach used to be at Phil's when he was like 5 years old, because his parents were playing there. So I think the next commercial, I think the next show the next commercial, he and I are going to do one together and talk about that, have that part of it.
We
and
trust you empirically.
Oh, well, thank you. All right, so there's a traditional question that I always ask people that are in the arts and entertainment business. And you being a venue, it's always a great thing to have. And how you answer the first question determines on whether we need to ask the second one. So the first one is, when you're not part of arts and entertainment, what do you like to be entertained by?
Great question. I am a pretty happy-go-lucky guy. I'm always down to do just about anything. I might say yes too much, right? But my love and passion has been sports. Played a lot of basketball, football, ran track growing up.
Right.
But always enjoyed watching NFL, NBA, which was another reason with Phil's just bringing our friends together, being able to watch games together. That was a big factor in like, hey, this could work. So that really helped us get started there. But I like reading, hiking, traveling, travel a lot for my day job as well. And overall, just I kind of get energy from people. So I love just hanging out with new people and meeting new people and doing new things. I do love music, though. That's definitely a passion of mine. I probably listen to a podcast or Spotify every single day. So, but also, I guess my main focus, it's kind of even hard to answer that question because once you have a child, you kind of forget what you like, and your whole day is consumed with, well, I guess I really like Bluey. We like watching Bluey. Got a little girl who's about 2, coming up on 2, April 14th. Shout out, little girl. But yeah, she kind of consumes the whole day. I really love taking her to the pool. We go swimming all the time. She's a little water bug. It's great.
All right. Well, with all that, you answered the second one with any other hobbies. All right.
I just keep going.
Well, Grant Boes, thank you so much, and appreciate the fact that you are a sponsor on the show now, and looking forward to being there many, many times. And we'll talk after here in just a moment about another possibility for you. All right?
And I'd be remiss not to mention, do follow us on social media.
Exactly.
Facebook, Instagram, Type in Phil's, you'll find it. And if you are interested, we do book private parties at Phil's as well. We actually just had a friend's diaper keg there yesterday.
Awesome.
We've had retirement parties and all kinds of things. So hit us up.
All right, fantastic. And we will be back to wrap up the Dave Holly Hour in just a moment.
Coming soon, another podcast from Big D Entertainment. Dave Holly's More, M-O-R, a show featuring the music and the stories of an oft-forgotten radio format known as Middle of the Road. The Days of Yore with More, M-O-R.
It's the podcast that creatives in the Sioux Empire listen to so they can learn more about other creatives. It's the Dave Holly Hour.
Thanks again to my great guests, Bob Wendland, Ben Jeppssen, and Grant Boes. Ben and Grant made their debuts on the show with this episode. Bob, he's been on several appearances, including episode number 2, just like last week. Yeah, we had somebody that had been on episode number 2, that being John Boe. Listen to any of the now 310 shows anytime you desire on DaveHollyHour.com. This show also available on your favorite podcast platform. Thank you all for supporting local arts and for taking the time to download, listen, and share the show. I encourage you to find your art. Find the art you enjoy. Find the art you're interested in trying, and we shall see you in the arts. As the Sioux Falls Arts Council says, together we art. As Arts South Dakota says, home is where the art is. As I say, put some art in your heart. Remember, my name is Dave Holly, and for me, every day is a holiday.
The Dave Holly Hour has been brought to you by Trio Jazz Club, Sioux Falls' premier jazz club. Enter as friends, leave as family. Phil's Pub, your local dive with music for the people. Chaser's Food and Spirits, XL Chiropractic, and Quality Nails. Stay up to date on the show by following on Instagram and Facebook. All episodes available anytime at DaveHollyHour.com. The Dave Holly Hour is produced in the Dipsy Doodle Studios by Big D Entertainment.
Thanks for listening.